Hello, hello, hello. It is the third day, so now we're gonna go the fourth day to the internet, which is tomorrow. 4 days without seeing my friends. 4 days of total Robinson Crusoe loneliness, being stranded in a geriatric monastery. And I'm drinking watermelon juice, which looks exactly like this here. Very similar. Slightly different color, but similar texture. It's good. Paul makes me watermelon blends. Oh, so good. This is so incredibly good. Particularly during the summertime, this is the best drink in the world. You cut a watermelon in half. You take a serrated short knife and you cut into it a plate pattern. Then you have cubes in there. And then you take a very large carving spoon and you carve it out. You put it in the blender. You've already the right. I have to block this out in case he walks by. Because he forgets. I said I'm making video, but then he forgets. And then he gets really, really upset, and then I have to delete this entire video already. It's only 2 minutes and 30 seconds so far, but I don't want to delete it because I'm showing this delicious watermelon blend. And he made me chamomile tea. He's like a nurse. And a gourmet chef nurse. Very, very good. So, but there are certain themes we can't talk about. That's primal therapy and Badu. So we can talk about politics. We can talk about extremely way out there problem solving solutions for the world, which he is on board with, except for the therapy I have developed. So therapy, that is a red flag for him because he doesn't want to deal with the issues. Yeah, and then again, most people, almost everyone I meet is not interested in dealing with their mental issues, with the past, with the trauma and all of this. Feels really good. We are watermelon unicorn twins. That is what we are. And we are here to comfort Nicola's mind battered brain from childhood and also battered by worries. I wake up at night and I'm worried for the animals in the world. I'm worried about the future on this planet. I'm worried about the wildfires. I'm worried about getting old. I'm worried about looking bad. I'm worried about not finding a boyfriend. I'm worried about being lonely. I'm worried about all kinds of things. I'm worried about losing my mind. I'm worried about, something that, like, there are some people that I don't want to end up like, My mother is one of those. To me, that's a red flag. I do not ever want to end up like that. So, again, my role model is Vivienne Westwood, fashion designer from England, the godmother of punk rock. Oh, that's the way to live, and that's the way of getting old. Okay. That's fantastic. This woman is stellar. Okay. She's not only a role model for me because she's a woman. She's a role model as a person, as a universal person. She's a God-loving soul. Animal rights activist, environmentalist. And she walks her talk, and her fashion represents that. She believes in reusing and recycling, and so do I. And yesterday, it was very nice. I was sitting on the other couch, and after I got up, and I decided I just want to sit on the couch for a couple of hours and do nothing. But it's really not nothing. I sit there, and you think I'm not doing anything. I drink my hot chocolate, pair of coffee, my tea, and I smell my perfume on. Escada. And I just sit there, and then Paul will say, "You need to get out into the sun." He'll say that like 10 times in a row. You need to do something. You need to do this, you need to do that. And you need to help me with the roof. Like total panic, And I said, "No, I am meditating." So I sat there, and when we meditate, or we can call it meditating. It's really doing nothing, being lazy, The brain, however, is very active. Okay. And sometimes we need to do this because there's so much stuff in the brain, in all of us, okay, that needs to sort itself out. If you put alcohol into your brain, that stuff will never sort itself out. That's why some alcoholics are completely out of their minds. They're behaving very irrationally and very mentally ill, very crazy, very violent often, because the stuff in the brain has never had time to sort itself out. Okay. That's the truth. So, or whatever people put into their bodies. Yeah. Any kind of toxic material. It could be mushrooms, psychedelic ones, or any kind of substance. You don't allow your brain to sort itself out if you do that. You overwhelm your brain if you do that. If you put toxins into your body. And if you put pharmaceutical drugs into your body, then, I mean, there are all kinds of different ones, of course, but they're all bad, okay? And they overwhelm the brain on top of it as well. They don't allow the brain to really sort itself out, or the body. They just cover up a symptom, and then whatever is underneath is still there. It's not sorted out. It hasn't repaired itself. Okay. That's why I'm completely against all drugs. All drugs. Any kind of drugs. Any kind of toxic substance. Okay. It's all wrong. It's all bad. You want to put watermelon juice. That's a superfood. Watermelon juice. Watermelon blended. You don't even put water in it. You just cut it in these cubes. Put it in the blender. You blend it. And you have the most amazing watermelon blend. It's infinitely healing and nurturing and good. Okay. Do not put animal products into your body, ever. Animal products clog up your arteries, they clog up your brain, they clog up your system, they clog up your liver, okay? And that's real serious. There was a surgeon, there's a surgeon out there in the United States who used to do liver transplants. That's what he learned, that's what he has done for many, many years, had been doing for many, many years, until he found the book and the work by Dr. Richard Schultz, who is a holistic practitioner. And he read that with an open mind and with a warm, caring heart and amygdala. So, and he decided, okay, I'm gonna give this a try. I'm gonna prescribe this incurable package for the liver from Dr. Richard Schultz with the herbal tinctures and all of that, cayenne pepper, all the good stuff, the superfood, the green superfood that you mix into a drink, this whole package, echinacea tincture, and his super potent vitamin C supplements that are all natural. There's nothing artificial in it. There's nothing stripped or processed in it. It's all whole and pure. So he got those. He prescribed it to his clients, the insurance companies. They don't pay for any of that stuff. They're all doing corporate hand washing with each other. It's like I said many times before, the corporate agenda. They profit on people being sick and dependent on their toxins. They're just like drug pushers, like El Chapo. The same thing, just legal. That's the only difference. So, but this really kind-hearted, good Samaritan physician, he applied Dr. Richard Schulze's incurable, he calls them the so-called incurable packages, because physicians always say this is an incurable disease. And Dr. Schulze says there's no such thing as incurable diseases. Okay? There's cause and effect. Okay, people become sick for a reason. You look at the root causes, and you know what's going on underneath the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so that's where the 90% of that ice block is. To use that metaphor. Okay. So when people are abusing their bodies for 30 years, then at some point their immune systems shut down. Okay. And that's what happens. Or the liver, or the kidneys, or the heart. And then they have surgeries, and they think that's medicine. They think that's what they have been told their entire lives, that that's how you deal with it. No, that's not how you deal with it. Not at all. Okay. You deal with it by stopping what makes you sick and starting what makes you well. That's what Dr. Schulze himself said. So that real good physician who used to do liver transplants on people now applied these holistic packages for his client, and he never, ever, ever, ever had to do a liver transplant again. Okay. Now that's a result that speaks for itself. Okay. It's very important to bring this stuff. Very important to talk about it. Stop what makes you sick and start what makes you well. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. It can't be any more simplistic than that. That's a very clear and loud message to the world, to the whole world, Also what they're doing to the planet. Stop doing it. Stop poisoning the planet. Stop poisoning yourselves. And start using holistic living. Holistic means holistic whole food, nurturing food. Nurturing, holistic healing modalities, okay, on a daily basis, like sodium bentonite clay. Oh, by the way, I have applied that now, and this is healing up. And I've applied it to my ankle, and the swelling is almost gone. And it felt really good. It felt like it talked to me. the swelling in my ankle talked to me, and I said, thank you. No, that was an extra boost of natural healing. That clay. Fantastic stuff. I take it internally every day. When I get up, I take a large teaspoon of hydrated sodium bentonite, montmorillonite mud. I have that in my bathroom. And I think it's also important to explain to people how to use it, because we saw on Amazon, we saw reports from people that obviously don't know how to use this at all, and they complained about it. They said that doesn't really dissolve in water. It stays kind of like clumpy and stuff. Well, it has to soak in water. This one particular bentonite clay, and I'm not so sure, 100% sure if this is actually bentonite clay. This tastes like limestone, actually. I'm gonna have to do research when we get internet at the other house. I'm gonna have to do a lot of researching on this, about limestone mud and what that does. I feel like it's really good. I can taste calcium in it, loads of calcium in it, which is a form of calcium that is very bioavailable, that gets absorbed by the body and utilized. That's really good. And so I'm gonna find out whether sodium bentonite tastes, or some sodium bentonite deposits taste like limestone, or whether they have limestone in it. They consist of all kinds of minerals. It's a very huge molecular structure that is intelligent, that does, and I'm sure that all of these muds, all of these clays, all of these mineral clays are very, very healing. I know that they all have a type of chelation ability, but much more than chelation. They have this ability of really engulfing toxins and flushing them out of the system safely. So, but what I'm taking right now internally, it seems really, really good. It seems very, very healing. So, I used to have liver pain. I don't know whether that was my liver but I don't even know where the liver is, to tell you the truth. So I think it's on the right side, towards the end of the rib cage, somewhere in there. I have to research this. So, but I had pain in it for many, many years. And that had to do with animal products, and it had to do with also with the high cholesterol level. And so I reduced the cholesterol level naturally, I quit the animal products, and I do all these clays and holistic healing, and I never had these pains again, ever. I used to have migraine headaches also. That's a sign of the liver being clogged up. The liver is our purifying organ. When the liver is clogged up with stuff, how can the liver function, and how can the liver purify our bloodstream? Then if the liver is clogged up, then the blood vessels and the blood itself becomes thick and congested, and clogged up with all kinds of toxins, and that gets into the brain and so on. So this is a complex. Everything is interconnected. Okay, everything, the mind, the brain, our psychologies. If the liver is clogged up, of course we have negative thoughts. So in psychological stress, when people don't deal with it, when they don't sit there for a couple of hours on the couch, when they just do one thing after another and just keep running away from the stuff that wants to sort itself out, then they just compound more and more and more and more information on top and top and top and top. They take more and more toxins, they patch up more and more symptoms, then side effect drugs and so on, and they run away from their issues. They run away from their partners who want to talk to them, who want to have a talk, who want to sort things out, maybe. They want, and then the other one just runs away, runs, and then becomes violent, aggressive, then they can't sleep at night, and so on. And then things just become more and more convoluted and clogged up and poisoned, and how can the system then, when the system is that overloaded, how can the system function then? So that's when people get sick. Don't do that to yourselves. That is my love message for you. Okay? You have to sit on the couch in quietness. And the most amazing solutions will start coming to you. Maybe something from the past comes up. Maybe something comes up that doesn't feel so good. Okay? But running away from it is not going to solve the problems. It just makes it worse. Okay? So we have to stay with that. We have to allow whatever wants to come up, wants to be seen by us, wants to come up into conscious awareness. We have to allow it. And sit with it. And sometimes it doesn't feel good. And you might have a lot of tears. That's good. That's very healing. Okay. Maybe it is anger. Sit with that without acting it out. If it gets really bad, the anger, if it's really, really serious, then you can go into your primal room, primal box, soundproof, padded room, or you go into your bedroom, you close the doors, you make sure the animals are not in your bedroom, and your children, they're all safely outside of your room, and then you can pound your fist into the pillow or the mattress, and you can scream into the pillow or into baby blanket or into your comforter that muffles the sound. I always close the window, of course. I don't want the neighbors to hear me scream. But I haven't been screaming recently, so I haven't been in the chat room anymore, that's why. No, the chat room, that really brought up some hefty anger. My goodness. I mean, in retrospect, if I look at the people, particularly the one, you know, obviously his brain is clogged up, you know, and I can see it from the sky perspective, and I can see what's going on there. I can see that he is suffering, you know, and that everything is convoluted and compounded, and nothing is worked out. And then he will blame people for stuff, for his bad feelings and so on. But he brought it on to himself. You know, the other people have nothing to do with that. They're just living their lives. You know, Sam Vaknin talks about this. You know, people who have never worked out their mental illness stuff. They just keep running away from it. They will create an entire fantasy world where they snapshot other people, and then they use the snapshot of someone and create a persona out of it, and then they play with all of these personas, and then when they see them again in real life and they see that they don't match up to that snapshot persona, to that fantasy world that they have created that serves their egos, then they get really mad at these people. And this is just extreme neurosis, yeah, and unconsciousness and disconnect. I saw a lot of men do that in the chat room. A lot of those guys are doing that. They create a fantasy snapshot persona. Sex toy snapshot persona of a woman. And in real life, you know, she will have a mind on her own. She will not fit that idealistic, you know, do whatever you want with her type of snapshot persona. Yeah. And then you call her queen bitch. You call her monster. You call her Tyrannosaurus Rex. You know, because she doesn't fit that ego-pleasing idea that you have of her, that you want to cultivate about her. No, every one of us is a highly complex living being. But that's what happens to those people when they don't work on their mental issues, when they run away. It becomes more and more crazy and more convoluted. More and more insanity, all the way to sadistic behavior and sadomaso type of fetishes and so on. It's mental illness, it's sickness. Okay. I'm not judging it in a moral type of judging. I am looking at it from the sky perspective. Okay. It's unwellness and it's suffering. And you don't heal it by going to a psychiatrist who you meet at the Sadomaso bar in the evening. Who has his own fetishes going. So, and I'm not laughing about it. This is real serious stuff. Okay? I've seen those type of people at the center. And they were courageous. Very courageous. And one guy got dressed up in the way he dresses up when he's doing his fetish evenings. And so I thought that was very, very courageous. And he was not happy about it. He hated himself. He was just showing everyone how messed up his life was with that. And he wanted to heal it. He really did. That's why he came to Dr. Azurjanov. He wanted to get at that. Very courageous. It takes a lot of courage to say, no, this isn't going anywhere. I want to heal myself. I really do. And that's what I'm doing. Okay. And sometimes, and then we grow up, everyone telling us, you need to do something, you need to do something, you need to do this or that, and don't just sit there. That's all ego-based social pressure. That just causes people more and more stress. Don't listen to anyone like that. You sit there on the couch and you tell people to leave you the heck alone. Okay. You sit on the couch or in nature, that's the best. I still have to go out and get grounded today before the sun goes down. But I wanted to talk about this, is very important. So you sit on the couch and you just do nothing. And you drink your tea, you do nothing. Just sit there. And all kinds of stuff comes up. Pain can come up on the past. Sit through it. Cry through it. And then later on write something down. You can take notes in a notebook. I highly recommend people to do this. You don't have to take notes every day, but when something comes up that is interesting or that is troubling, write it down. And read it later and reflect on it. I do that. Psychological journaling. This is very important. Doesn't have to be done every day, but whenever something comes up that is important to write down, I recommend to write it down. And just sit with whatever comes up. Breathe through it, deeply through the abdomen. Breathe. Take time to breathe. Very, very important. Most people don't do that. No, we need air in our lungs. Very important. Breathe. Fill the air. Fill the lungs with air. Fill all the cells in the lungs with air, and then the red blood cells, like caviar, get filled with oxygen. The hemoglobin in it gets refreshed with air. and it gets transported into your brain and into your whole body. It was good. And then good thoughts, interesting thoughts, healing thoughts. You sort things out. Then you have solutions that come up all of a sudden. Solutions to things that gave you a headache before, you know. And I sit there for 3 hours and my brain is designing things. I design all kinds of things just in my head. My brain creates stuff just in theory. And sometimes I write it down. Sometimes I put it into action afterwards. You know, I'll go upstairs and put it into my artwork, or I will use this thinking process to these new solutions that I came up with, and I will apply it to making clothes, creating sweaters, or doing adjustments to existing clothes and pants and stuff like that. Or painting sunglasses with nail polish. Painting $1 belt buckle pants that are all vegan. Painting that with acrylic colors. You know, good ideas will come to you. Solutions. Money-saving solutions will come to you. The most important thing is that you stop doing these things that clog you up, you know. Stop eating animal products. Stop watching horror movies. Stop sadomaso. And start to feed your body the way it deserves it. With watermelon juice, spinach, raw spinach I recommend. Cooked is okay too, but raw is the best. You can make raw blends, and you can put stuff into a food processor, and you can make pastes with it for bread pastes, which Paul does. These pastes are raw pastes to put, like, you know, other people will use sour cream or butter. We use this whole food, vegan, raw food paste that he makes. I came up with that idea. That's another idea that came to me, you know, just through meditating, contemplating. And then he applied it. You know, he is the chef and I give the instructions. That's how it works. And it tastes fantastic. Fantastic. We had whole bunch of Spectrum vegan mayonnaise in the pantry that we bought many years ago at the grocery outlet that was on sale. I think they were $1 each or 50 cents each or something. We bought cases of it. We were like, yay, that's our opportunity now. We need to go vegan. And that mayonnaise tasted very bland and actually tasted terrible. And then I thought, so what am I going to do with this? We have to utilize it for something. So then I made salad dressings with it, and I experimented with it. Garlic helped a lot. And then once Paul started to do these food processing with raw food, then he experimented with that and he put some of that vegan mayonnaise into it, and these pastes tasted fantastic with that weird tasting mayonnaise in it. And he's been using all of those up now, doing these pastes. And fantastic. So you will get good ideas. I promise that to you. Okay, you guys take care.